Welcome back to the Canadian Edge. Today we're going to be looking at another Spyderco knife. It's one of my favorites, but I say that about most knives. But this one is one that I saw in the store a while ago. It's the Spyderco Navaja. And I mentioned it to my wife, and we had a friend who worked in the store, and he was able to get it at a good price for her to give to me. So, the Spyderco Navaja. It has an overall length of 8.625 inches. Closed, it is 4.75 inches, and the blade is 3.875 inches. And, oh, I forgot to check. Oh no, the weight is 5.1 ounces. It is an Ed Schemp design, and he designed a group of knives. It was called the Ethnic line, and this is part of the Ethnic line, and I learned that this is also a discontinued knife as of 2015. So the blade on this is made up of S30V. If you're familiar with steels, that's a very hard steel and it holds an edge really well. The clip can be attached in 4 different places. It's a hourglass type clip, and it can be attached in the 4 different places. And our handle is a carbon fiber G10 laminate with stainless steel bolsters. Now the unique thing about the Navaja is the carrick or ratcheting sound that it used to make. Sadly, one of the failures of this knife is that the system that works, you probably can't see it, but there is a little sprocket just inside the liner that a spring would run over and make a clicking sound similar to a cylinder of a revolver gun spinning, and it was supposed to be an intimidation factor, but unfortunately on these knives that gives out quite regularly and no longer works. Apparently you could send them back to Spyderco to get that fixed, but that isn't the feature that was important to me. I just loved the lines and the design of the knife. It holds in your hand very well. You've got a little bit of a divot here and a guard which keeps your finger from slipping. Got the back curl which keeps your hand from slipping off the back. You do have jimping up here at the top. You can see that. The jimping is the little lines which give you a little more grip and allow you to be able to hang onto this a little bit better. So you can hang on to this in different variations and use it for a multitude of different jobs. So let's take a look at the sharpness of this knife. Of course, I've had this for a while and have used it, so it's not as sharp as when it came from the factory, but it does cut paper. I could use a little bit of a sharpening. But some of the things that I use my knives for around the house, one of them is these things. If you've ever had to cut these, which is never easy, but it does cut it with a little bit of force. I do end up cutting a lot of cord and different stuff when I'm working around the house. So let's see how well it cuts that. Oh, it cuts through that pretty easy. Just about flung the knife. Definitely could use a little bit of sharpening. And we'll cut through paracord here. And so it cuts through that. So of course it is a liner lock. Ed Shemp says that's one of his favorite things is to design with a liner lock, and you do have fairly easy access to it. It is easy one hand open and one hand close. Do watch that you don't hold it up when you close it, because the blade has enough weight it will fall and hit your finger, and if it's sharp enough it will cut it. Of course, I don't know if I have room to do it. You can do the flick and open, which Spyderco is famous for and which I really like. But I just really like the lines, and I like the texture on here. It's almost a weave pattern on the handle here, on the scales, and so it makes it easy to grip. You get a nice grip, and the way they've designed the pocket clip, it doesn't interfere with your grip very much. You do notice it there, but it isn't horrible. And so yeah, so how about in the pocket? What's this thing like in the pocket? Well, let's take a look. So I have a little thicker pocket, and the clip does kind of catch on that, but if you have a thinner pocket it would fit pretty good, and you can see it sits quite low in the pocket and it pulls out with no problem. So just that initial catching it in the pocket, and with your hand in there you do notice it, but it's not horrible. There's nothing that's catching and causing you any problems. So yeah, the Navaja. And of course you got the Spyderco logo. You have Ed Shemp's design. I don't know if you can see that. My light's not very good. And you've got the Spyderco logo on the clip as well. And this one's made in Taiwan. I know a lot of knives are getting made in China nowadays. If you can pick one of these up, do. They are getting expensive. They retailed, I think it was about 170 bucks here in Canada, 150 to 170, can't remember. But now I was looking on eBay and they sell $300 plus, 400, 500. So if you can find one at a reasonable price, pick one up. It's a nice knife and you'll really enjoy it. And for my rating, how did I rate this? Well, aesthetics, I gave it a 10 because that's what drew me to this knife, is the way that it looked. And so I really love the aesthetics. Open and closing, it's got a really good mechanism inside. It opens and closes very smoothly, especially if you do the flick. It's very little effort to do that, so I gave it a 10. In the pocket, it is a little bulky, so I gave it a 9 in the pocket. Weight, again, it's on the heavier side. I like, depending on the job I'm doing, I do like a heavier knife. But I gave it a 9 just because it is a little heavier for an everyday carry. Sharpness, again, out of the box, it was a little bit sharper than what it is. I need to sharpen it up. I give it a 9 for sharpness right now. And the handle, I give it a 10 because it's great texture. It's very comfortable handle, easy to hang on to. But again, the main reason I really like this knife was the design. You got many different ways you can hang on to it and use it for different jobs, and it's just a very nice looking knife. Could it be an EDC? Yes. You could use this as a everyday carry knife. It would easily do the job. It is, as I say, a little on the large side. I do have, in comparison, I have a knife that I often carry, the Gerber Remix. So you can see it's a little bit bigger than the Gerber Remix. We'll be reviewing that one at some point too. But yeah, that's the Navaja by Spyderco. Well, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. And if you haven't, please subscribe. And if you have, thank you. And otherwise, we'll be reviewing another knife in a few days. Until then, stay safe and stay sharp.